Okay, so welcome everyone to our Fireside Chat, April 3rd, in the midst of a very different world. We're in a very different world, and this title is called Wake Up to the Magic of Your Creativity. And it's a really key, crucial piece to transforming all of the shadows, all of the stuff we've been building up for the last millennia. And as we go into creating a new reality, it is crucial that we are creative. And creativity, as you'll hear tonight, has lots of different aspects to it, and is really a key to open a portal, open a door to, it's really an initiating into our awakening. This is the time that we're in right now, an initiation. And we're looking at, we look into the gene keys, and there's the 51st gene key that will activate tomorrow, and that's called shock. How shocking. So it's shock and an initiation. And that's, the times that we're going into. So in the next little while, we're going to see more shocking things, perhaps, even more so. And how do we be with it? And how do we navigate all of this change? So super exciting.
And we might be even shocked about how graceful this goes. And people just shift and change into their generosity of spirit, into their caring. What would it take to be shocked that way?
Yes.
Because I certainly don't expect that. I would be probably more shocked about that than going through hard times.
Yeah. So yeah, the shock in all these different ways. So it's really a door opening into initiating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And into that initiating of new ways, we need creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really seeing things with fresh eyes, not being in the rut, and just getting out of the rut and into just new possibilities, right, left, and center.
Mm-hmm. And what I found with creativity, or what I find always very intriguing when I talk with people about creativity, so many people say, I'm not creative. I'm not good in drawing pictures. I'm not good in music. I can't sing. I can't. It's not my shtick.
I like how you say that. I like your, I can't. I like that. It sounds so sexy.
But so much for a train of thought. And that's exactly how you use creativity when something unexpected comes out your way. You just deal with it in a creative way, which is exactly my point, because we have put creativity into a small, tiny box that is filled with crowns, music instruments, and has the
tutus and ballerina shoes.
Exactly, and has the label art or craft on it. And most people don't see themselves in that box. But creativity, like sexuality, is way more than what we put it into that box. Yeah.
So it's sexuality too, if you didn't catch that. People have put that into a box as well. Like it's so narrowed down and just trapped in a certain way of looking at it. And creativity is the same way.
Mm-hmm. And why I bring that energy up, because those two are very, very related with each other and flow with each other. When you're creating, your whole body turns on. When you allow that capacity of yours, creativity, to flow, life energy starts flowing through you. So to differentiate those two is sometimes even very difficult if you take them both out of the box and into your life and really wake up to it. And yeah. So the thing with my brain is not working linearly either.
We have things written down because both of us today are all over the place. I don't know if your brain feels scrambled, but man, oh man. So
we be creative.
We're gonna
creatively with that.
Could be very creative.
So let's first of all look at what do we mean by creativity. So as I said, creativity is really a potential. In And as it of itself, it doesn't do much. It's like magic, yeah? It just is happy in space and floats around and moves, but it doesn't really do anything until you step into the picture and actually claim it, be with it, and move it. Yeah, it's a potential, it's a capacity, it's a talent that you have. Everybody has it, no matter what. You wouldn't be alive if you didn't have creativity. Okay, and what it does is it helps us in the ever-changing web of life that is constantly changing. Is with creativity we can be present in that change and actually have fun. There's a concept for you. And create with those changes instead of having them wash through us, over us, and overwhelm us. We can meet them in different ways.
Oh, go ahead.
And the thing is that when you build a structure in this ever-changing web of life that loses its flexibility, it will automatically change. And I think this
like collapse.
Yeah, change or collapse or disintegrate. And I find this time right now so interesting because what happened is socially, all over the planet, economically, environmentally, we have gone in a rut over and over and over and over again. And that has become such a solidified structure that the collapse was inevitable. Okay, and that is that shock that, whoa, what just happened? My usual pathway is not there anymore. I can't get the groceries in the way that I used to. And what happens is that with that collapse comes everything up that we have collectively, individually shoved under the carpet. Okay, and that's why we chose to talk about creativity, because that is one of the capacities that will help us to move in a different way. It requires us to come up with creative ways of what else is possible, what else can we do, right? Instead of going down our usual path, let's be creative and really bring the magic of creativity into this whole game. And I always like to say that creativity is almost the base oil for magic to be a beautiful essential oil.
Like a carrier oil.
Yeah, a carrier oil, right? Creativity carries the scent of your unique magic and makes it come to fruition. It allows it to flower. And what we mean by your scent of your magic is, or to begin with, let me put it that way, is everyone has a unique set of senses that go beyond the 5 senses. Okay, so we know all the 5 senses: taste, smell, touch, blah blah blah, sight, hearing, smell.
We got them all.
And then there are a couple more, but those are the normal senses. But what about the sense for life, right? The sense, for example, for plants. You might call that a green thumb. Or the sense for beauty, right? Creating spaces of beauty. Or a sense of taste beyond that sense of taste. Some people have like really a fine sense of that, how tastes flow together, how spices flow together. And that would be the magic of creating beautiful meals. Or I have the sense for technology. Somehow I can talk to technology and it just works for me. I don't know how it happens, but that's a gift that I have. That's a part of my magic.
It talks to you too.
It does, yeah. It works. It's ever since, and I like that skill. So, but what creativity does, it holds this. It enables you to actually step into that sense and be in different ways other than the trodden path of what you have learned, what everybody else does. And it innately prevents us from actually creating those inflexible structures. But we kind of have forgotten that because we put one of the reasons is we put creativity into this box. And like magic, creativity is not calculable or manipulatable in the same way that other things are. It's very wild, it's very uncontrollable. It requires us to be out of control. Okay.
And one of the things with creativity in a box and the way that it's been and when it gets to be structured is we lose intimacy. And creativity and magic, you have to be intimate. So this change, this lockdown is forcing us to be intimate with parts of our lives that we have put on autopilot. Like we've put on autopilot going shopping and doing our regular things. So this creativity or this pandemic, whatever, is making us look at this. So this is the shock and arousing that we're in right now, which Sabina said, yeah, it can be a great thing. Shock is it can be good or bad or however you want to look at it, but it's to shake us and wake us up. And creativity is all about intimacy with what is. So
and then really, number one, being with it, and number two, pausing to really perceive what is actually going on. Number three, being creative with how we respond, right? Instead of going into freezing, allowing yourself to actually respond in different ways. And if it doesn't work, try a different way.
Yeah, I think that what we talked about the last fireside chat is that inhale, take in, and then the pause, and then the exhale, right? Just taking in different ways, and then that pause. We're in a pause, and it's that creative flow time.
And I also love mixing creativity with the shadow work, because it can bring a sense of humor to this whole shadow work. And what we mean again by shadow work is that when you are on the path of becoming aware, what often is created through life are those moments of pause to allow you to actually reflect and look at those sides, things that you have shoved under the carpet, often for a reason, because at the time you weren't able to deal with it. But in that pause, you might actually have the tools to deal with it so that it doesn't get stinky under the carpet. And instead of trying to deal with whatever is underneath there, and it doesn't mean that you have to be in drama and feel horrible or anything, but I can speak for myself. I do have a couple of things under the carpet that I don't feel so comfortable, like patterns of control or being bitchy or unkind or being afraid. All those things, it's like, okay, now I actually can look at them and deal with them in a different way. And creativity allows me to actually use my imagination in my way to deal with that differently. For example, I keep having that image of a friend of mine in my head, which I personally find very funny and also use. When she has like a shadow come up, she first of all imagines Neo in the Matrix, when he leans backwards and the bullets fly to it. So when those fears come towards her, she just goes and is totally creative in the way that she moves to not be at the effect of that first blast of, oh my God, what's happening? Yeah, that usually freezes people and contracts them, which disables you to actually be with whatever that is in a creative way.
I'm just thinking too, in this time of pause, maybe some of you are cleaning things a little bit more than you would. So it's like going under your couch and then what do you find under there? Or you pull out your fridge and oh my God, there's a piece of rotten food that's been how long? It's been a year. It's like when we see the shadow in ourselves, it's like, oh my God, it's so horrible. But when it's a piece of something under the fridge Fluff. Or it's kind of funny in a gross way.
But can you see how much humor you can use with creativity, meeting those things that usually lead us to contract, but it actually empowers us to be differently with those dynamics. And I'm not saying it's the be all end all dealing with shadows, but it certainly makes it easier, and the changing of the shadows into actually a gift is way easier with that sense of creativity and humor. And that's something that we both very strongly believe, that every shadow has a gift within it. Like every shadow has a gift within it. And that's why we want to do this work. Before we can move on, we're looking at those shadows because they have the gifts that we require to move on. And how I see the situation right now, we certainly on all levels on this planet are ready and need to shift into something different, because what we have been doing very practically isn't working the way that brings forth more life. It actually is very destructive and doesn't work on any level. Okay? Does this make sense to you guys? I see nodding heads.
Any questions at this point or any comments? Because we kind of go blah, 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 and then we come up for air, let you guys breathe. Curious if there's anything that you guys have. How do you see this in your own life? Are you seeing chances for more creativity coming up in this time of, safe self-isolation?
The word blessing.
Blessing, okay.
In French, blesser.
Right.
Means to wound.
To woo.
Wound.
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 W-O-U-N-D.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mute me.
So to bless means to wound.
Wound.
Yes, got it.
Yeah, got it. So it is really like a Leonard Cohen, is that?
There's a
Like
crack in everything.
Yeah, to let the light in.
There is a crack in everything.
Yeah. So that's what we're going for. And sometimes when we're not able to deal with the crack, we put it under the carpet, right? And then they turn into shadows and run our lives. And then when we're ready, they come up, and with creativity and some sprinkles of magic, it's way easier to deal with those. Perfect.
Thank you, Pen. Now that I got, in a creative way, what you were saying.
The challenge with creativity, a lot of people always say, but how do I activate my creativity? How do I tap into my creativity? The challenge is that it is not anything that you can really do. It is more of an experience that you invite into your life. And everybody is unique and has different ways of being with that. Yet there are a couple of things that you can do or be that invites more of that to flow in your life. Number one, what often gets ignored because everybody expects, of course, you want to be more creative, right? Particularly in our field of people that we hang out with. But number one, it's important that you actually choose it. Yeah? It is a choice to let that energy come into your life and to invite more of that in. Because what you need to do is make yourself bigger for it, and it will do the same for you. It will widen that crack through which the light can come in.
And it's really the value. Like, is it of value to you? Like, how much is it of value to you? And that which you value, you'll want to invite, you'll want to play with. And a lot of times creativity, when it's in the box, it's put on the side for many people, unless it is your life profession, right? To be a professional writer or dancer, then it's right there. But for the rest of us, it can be this little side compartment. Well, I'll be creative later when I have time for it. So this time that we're in is really begging for creative solutions, creative service, creative acts, creative thinking, creative everything.
And it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right? It's really, the more conscious you actually play with that choice in your contemplation, the more that has power. And really, it's almost like putting on a light and saying, I'm ready. bring it on, right? And then things start to move more dynamically, and you actually get to practice your creativity and the ways that you play with it. So that's number one, choose. Number two is you need to invite the unknown, right? Being willing to invite the unknown often also leads to a level of being uncomfortable, because your body loves the known, because that is how it knows that it's safe and secure. And when something unknown comes into your field, it's a different frequency. So often the body gives you that sense of fear. Something is different, alert. And the more you invite the unknown and actually seek the unknown, the more your body gets used to it and is feeling comfortable and safe to some extent in the unknown. Because once you've done that 21 times or more, your body knows that energy of the unknown. Okay? But most of us have not lived in that field of really inviting the unknown, and I believe there's always more. I hope there's always more unknown, and that excitement, that thrill, that the edge between fear and excitement and really pushing the limits. I hope I will never find the end of that, because that's where that creativity lives. That's from where it gets born and brings forth genius, beauty, just
Yes.
the human gem, basically.
I mean, this is where I say this is where your genius is, or where all of our genius is. And oh man, for myself, I feel like I'm just at the brink of starting to be creative in my life. And because I've really tried to follow the norm, or like, because I think I'm just so different. So I've tried to make myself be like everyone else. And in there is this pretty fierce, creative woman. And, you know, I've had my little forays here, but there's just feels like there's just this big buildup to something really, really deep and great. And I know it's within all of us. So if any of you can relate to that, like, yeah, putting the lid on your own creativity just keeps you in that small box. And, you know, we're all being forced to look at it, forced to be shocked at, yeah, what is our potential? What is our genius? What is so different that lurks within, just under the surface, that is really wanting to come out?
And that unknown is within and without. Like, what solution have we not looked at globally that we haven't even considered, right? If we go down the same routes always, it will be the same all over again, which won't happen because that's not sustainable. Same thing is for inside. If you go down that same route over and over again, it won't work because it hasn't in the past. So why would it work the 1001st time? It doesn't. So with that is really the invitation of seek out the unknown. First, be clear. Do you actually choose this? Do you choose to live a creative and magical life? If not,
is that of value to you? Is that
Exactly.
important to you? It might not be. That's okay.
and if not, don't even bother. It's way too much work. If you don't like the rewards of it, well, I wouldn't go down that route if I were you, not choosing it. So once you choose it, seek out the unknown. And the third element is be willing to fail.
What?
That is something that we are not very good at, right? The willingness to fail. And I find it very funny how people, like that whole toilet paper and that whole hoarding thing, it's like people are not willing to be creative about how else they can wipe their butt. They are not, right? Other countries are laughing at us for being terrified about not having toilet paper because they're used to it. They use water, which works kind of better anyways. Okay? So, but notice where you're not willing to fail in the littlest things, and then you rather do it the same way over and over and over again because you're not seeking out the unknown. And thus you literally squinching,
Yeah, that works.
something like that, your creativity, right? You're eliminating all the other possibilities. And I have tried 1,000 things in my life at least, and I failed. It didn't work. The thing is, I didn't ever see it as a failure because I didn't stop there. What stops us in our tracks is that we stop ourselves in the moment when something doesn't work, and we return to the trodden path.
The safe, the predictable.
So living a magical and a creative life requires you to be really stubborn, like a pit bull. I'm not giving up. If it doesn't work, there are at least 5 other possibilities that I haven't considered. So let's try them out.
Oh, just sidebar. One of my favorite books is by Twyla Tharp. She's a phenomenal dancer. Can't remember what it's called, but she has these different exercises to stimulate creativity. And she says, she takes an object like a hanger or something, and she teaches us with her classes, and she says, find 60 things to do with this hanger. So 60 things. So it's in my mind when I get stuck on something and I can't think beyond it. I go, okay, what's 60 things I can do with this particular situation, this particular object? And it is really amazing the level of creativity that comes. The first 20 are the tried and true, and then after you go on, and you can do this in 10 minutes, and you will find 60 things to do with that teacup.
And that's what we mean with seek out the unknown, right?
And the piece, don't stop.
Yeah.
Just keep on going. There's after you get 20 things, go for the more. Go for 60. Go for 100. Go for more.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Anything bring it up for you guys? Any questions or comments?
Very quiet.
How is creativity playing out in your life in the last couple of weeks? Are you opening up to different ways of being than usual?
That was really helpful. I think that I'm just starting to get to the point where you get past the shock of your whole reality has just been turned upside down.
Yeah.
So first it was like this frantic, oh, I'm going to get online, I'm going to dance, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 distraction, and then having a period of stopping and just silence, and then kind of looking at all that and then going, hey, okay, I'm waking up in the morning. What can I do now that is adding to my life? I've noticed a lot more outside of the birds singing because there's not all this traffic.
Yeah.
Planes aren't flying over. There's like a whole other level of nature that's kind of coming in. But it's really challenging, and but I appreciate that.
What's your biggest challenge with that?
Well, it's like, oh, I'm on vacation in my home for 5 days. And, I live in a community and I'm doing service there and helping the other seniors, delivering food and stuff like that. But I just miss my life, or the contact. And so I'm looking at it now like, well, it's a time to do, like you said, to look at the shadow. What creative things can I do? I'm definitely, my yard is getting together and is cleaner, and I'm sleeping a lot, which I think is probably good recovery from all of it.
That's very important to listen to your body in this time, in creative ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, there are many ways. It's like today when we walked the dogs, we saw a street over, the neighbors just put chairs into a big circle, all like 2 meters apart, and they just talked with each other. So there are creative ways that we can still do physical distancing, but not social distancing. And if you have the urge to take that time and really go inwards, create that. Now is the time to cave up, not to cave in, but to cave up. To see this as an initiation. Like in the old traditions, there are many traditions where people take 14 days, 40 days in a cave, even in total darkness, which is very, very powerful. Mind you, at the same time, you also have to have the strength of your personality to be present with that. Don't dive into that and then be overwhelmed by it. Really make sure that you're still present and actually are able to meet those shadows in a powerful way, not in an overwhelming way. If it does get overwhelming for anybody, please reach out to us. We're happy to help you. Just give us a shout. You get a 5 to 10 minute free call with us. We will help you out and help you through that if it gets too much and too overwhelming. Because we are very aware that it is an intense time. Like we all kind of feel, what? We haven't prepared for this. This is the unknown. Oh my God. What are we doing now?
What's going to happen next? We don't know. Exactly. Nobody really knows.
Which is, for those of us who have done some of this work already, and so those of us who are more, have a certain quality, it can be exciting. And it is still important to look at those sides that try to avoid that whole unknown. Yeah. Cool. I haven't looked at any of the questions from Facebook stream.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
What I like is that this is a time of initiation.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you like it or not, sometimes you think you might volunteer for initiation, but you are being volunteered for this initiation.
Mm-hmm. A thousand years ago, you ask a question, who am I? And that set you right on that path. And
Yep.
now it is. You've
Here it
waited
is.
for ages for this time.
And now you want to go back. No.
I don't think they
no,
do.
no.
No.
There's no going back.
No. And what I actually find very interesting is also all those creative ways that people really contribute to each other and help each other through that hump, like that woman who does the dog, Oscar or
Pluto.
Pluto, I don't know why Oscar. She's brilliant, right? And she brings that sense of humor in. So really play with that. How can you bring that humor in your creativity? I'm not saying you have to become a Facebook star or an internet star, but what are the little things that you can do? How creative can you be brushing your teeth, which is probably one of the most routine things that you do in your day? Or how do you put on your clothes? Do you always put on your clothes the same way? Really invite the unknown into those daily routine things, and then think beyond your way, beyond yourself. Go out of your way and explore how else can you interact with other people and really come together in an empowering way. Maybe call somebody that you haven't called forever. Or, hey, Evelyn, that project, that stitching project, brilliant. Do you want to talk?
Yeah, so just a friend of mine, she just is offering these free stitch and meditate kits. So she just, out of the goodness of her heart, she's making these little pieces of fabric and embroidery thread, and she has this way of like stitching, and it's just very meditative and contemplative, and I've been doing that. So that brought back it just brings back a whole new other way for me to express myself and to like feel my emotions and be present.
Are the stitcheries making masks?
No, it's just stitching with fabrics.
It's like a piece of fabric and
Yeah.
different colors thread and little pieces of fabric.
Yeah, so there's just many different ways like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
I was gonna say something, I forget. Just go.
I pretty much, I said it all.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you guys have any questions, comments, ponderings, and wanderings, this might have been a shorter fireside chat today. Cool. Well,
And there's also coming up April 4th tomorrow.
yeah.
There's at 10:45. There's this big global universal meditation, and there's different things all around the world happening. If you wanted to go to something like that, but yeah, there's some big planetary changes happening, and we're studying and we're going to different Zooms about it, and yeah, so just invite you into that. It's really all about the awakening. It's awakening and initiation, and going into this time of the great change, which is coming in 2027.
Keep talking.
Oh, okay. I'm like looking, I'm reading. That's cool. I didn't know Facebook, it tells what you're saying. That's so cool. Do we have a question? Somebody says they've been very scrambled today. We have been too. If you haven't.
And that's maybe the other thing that we, or not maybe, that is actually the other thing that we wanted to address, is that we are going towards a big shift, whether that is happening boom tomorrow or in 7 years from now. I have no idea, but I'm aware that the energy is really cranking up, and thus the carpet got lifted globally for us. So be also aware that we collectively increase the energy, and that automatically brings up all the stuff that you have put under the carpet, or all the stuff that you haven't been willing to integrate, like your magic, your talents, your amazingness. So invite it in. Really make yourself as much space as you can, because when you're spaced, this energy can flow. If
And
you're
there's-
contracting, it's gonna rattle you big time.
Yeah, some of the key words that we're learning from the Gene Keys is like the state of agitation that we will see probably in the next few days with maybe other people or within yourself, just agitation. And it's what's really helpful is just to bring a softening into it, like soften. How can I soften here? How can I soften there? Just notice where your body goes rigid, like maybe you're holding tension in the jaw of some people have the TMJ stuff going on a lot right now. They're just so much tension is in the jaw or headache or just, and then just when you're aware of that intensity in the body, just how can I soften? Move it. Massage, like self massage is really good. How can I relax here? Relaxation is a key piece.
Yeah, that reminds me. With that also, creativity doesn't come out of your head. Very important point, right?
What?
Creativity comes from the fire in the belly and the capacity of your heart. And then maybe it inspires your mind. But it is born within, deep within you and far in outer space. It really lives in that space of the and, of the liminal that we have been talking about in the last year in the Fireside Chats. So don't try to go mental on your creativity and in these times of change. I've tried it many times. This is very fast, very good, and I failed. This is why I'm now saying, take the shortcut. Don't go here for the source for your creativity or for your the way that you're dealing with this time right now. When you're going hyperspeed here, breathe through your nostrils, do this alternative breathing, stand on your head, try catching flies with your feet, do anything that distracts you from your mind, right?
Pat your belly.
Right? Or do this thingy, or whatever, be creative, right? In this time, but don't get stuck here. This is this is on its way out in the form that we have been using our mind. And it will come in a different way, but way different.
Yeah, so if you've been sitting here, thinking of how you can be creative, don't. Just invite creativity in and just be surprised, wonder and be surprised, and really open to receive creative energy, creativity into your life. It's not so much the doing that we're talking about, like having to perform the creativity, but allow it to come to you.
Cool.
It's really who we are. We are creative beings.
Yes. And that I celebrate with great joy.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Fantastic.
Anyone else have something? Oh, Katrin Heitzer. Hey, whoa, cool. Anyone else have anything to share before we sign off?
Thank you for being here. And yeah. Yes.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your evening and surrender to the creative juices within and without.
And come to the Synergy in Motion forum on Facebook. We are putting streams up there and having fun creating. And every morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going live, sometimes with Juna, sometimes without, to just light a candle. That's one of my creative ways, lighting a candle in the morning to really remind me to light my light, shine my light out, and just radiate it into the world. And I just invite you to join me with that at 9 or at another time whenever you are ready to light that up and shine your light into the world.
Thank you for that. It's very, very beautiful. I've done it for the last 2 mornings, and it's just what an awesome way to start the day and just kind of be the light and connect with the light and shine it everywhere. And knowing that you're doing it at the same time and so are others. It's been, thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yay. Cool.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Everybody.
Mwah.
Thank you very much.